I am from the American Midwest. I like video games. But never do I see a video game that takes place in the Midwest. To many, the Midwest is an utterly uninspiring place, the rural parts especially. Flyover states with naught but corn and melancholy within. Topology comparable to a pancake, and fried food that will put you in a hospital bed. Seriously, come here in the wintertime, and you'll really want to kill yourself. If you're not familiar with the geography of the USA, basically the Midwest is the middle part of the country that nobody goes to because there's f***ing nothing there, except Chicago. It's the stereotypical middle of nowhere. So I understand why the powers that be don't make video games about the Midwest. What's there to gamify? Worms that crawl on the ground, perchance? But GD f***ing damn it, the gaming world needs representation for this boring ass place, so I'm gonna instead find some games that feel like the Midwest and explain to you why. Intro over.
I thought it was love. I thought you were the one. But you trapped me in the washing machine.
So the first game is 500 Caliber Contracts. This is an indie platformer demo by a guy named, what's his name? Bryce Butcher. It's a demo, so there's only one level on it so far, but the level they made is super like aesthetic and beautiful and The main draw of this game is its aesthetic, which is like this hodgepodge of 2000s decade aesthetics. So there's a bit of that YouTube, Windows Movie Maker, Windows XP, just anime in general, DeviantArt, like OC kind of aesthetics. The map in general kind of reminds me of like a source map. So it's like this really interesting vibe created combining all these things. Something I thought of is it kind of feels like a edgy 2000s desktop wallpaper, but if it was playable. I don't know, the game's really cool. I'd recommend you check it out. It's a free demo on Steam. I'd say 500 Caliber Contracts is like the gamification of what it's like to hang out under a bridge. The first stage of being a Midwesterner is reveling in these sorts of aesthetics. You're in this wasteland, so to speak, of cornfields and nothing. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're angry about everything. You just want to leave. You just feel restrained by it, and you just want to kill. The whole game feels really edgy and emo. There's a lot of like anti-capitalism themes. The whole premise of the game is you're like an assassin. You're hired by oppressed workers to kill their boss, basically. I don't know if Bryce Butcher is Midwestern, but I have it on good authority that even if he isn't, he knows the vibe. In researching him, I saw that he had concepts for a game called Midwest Lost, which was supposed to be like a Souls-like type of thing, but it had like an anime guy. Even if Bryce Butcher isn't particularly Midwestern, he definitely gets the vibe of Midwesternness. I don't think I have anything else to say about it. That's epic. That is epic.
You said I could watch Cocomelon after dinner. You
The next game is a little ditty called Fallout 3. You might have heard of it. Fallout is a series of post-apocalyptic RPGs that take place in America. As far as I've seen, it's usually more on the east coast of America, which is different from the Midwest. This particular game takes place in Washington, D.C., which is by like Maryland, but it has the Midwest vibes. It takes place in a depressing American wasteland. The only that's kind of still around is like industrial, like super hard to look at crap. Everything's all like desaturated. You know, everything's all rusty. There's like beer cans scattered around. People use bottle caps as currency. It's basically like 90% just what Cleveland is now. While I said 500 Caliber Contracts was kind of like the first stage in the life of an average Midwesterner, the angsty teenage phase, Fallout 3 is more of like the depressing adult phase. You know, it's kind of like when you're in your 20s and you're kind of still stuck in the Midwest, but crucially, there's also an undercurrent of humor to Fallout. You kind of see that with like the Pit-Boy like designs and like the weird satirical nature of Fallout, the weird robots and like the mutant shit. I don't know. It has an undercurrent of humor to it. And I think that's crucial to the life of a Midwesterner because there's a certain point where you kind of develop a sense of humor about the Midwest. I'm kind of in that stage myself right now. I kind of feel like I'm Fallout 3 right now. It's a really important turning point in the lifespan of a Midwesterner because that'll kind of segue us into our next game, which might surprise you, but I promise you it makes sense.
You said my chili was the best. You said it was your favorite. Suck my nuts.
Do you want to be my friend?
Our final game is The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Now this may seem like a bit of a head scratcher at first. Wind Waker is a cheery, cartoony Nintendo game. It's very colorful, it's very pleasant to look at. It's a tad childish in a good way. It's very nice game, very pleasant game. How does this qualify as a Midwestern feeling game? Well, to me, the game Wind Waker and the protagonist of Wind Waker both kind of embody the concept of Midwest nice. Now, if you don't know what Midwest nice is, it's basically this kind of, I guess, like stereotype of Midwestern people that they're extremely nice. Like genuinely, if they're your neighbor and they're out mowing their lawn, they're gonna go and mow your lawn too without asking and just do it for free. They don't expect anything in return. That's the level of nice that Midwesterners supposedly are. While I do genuinely believe that Midwesterners can be nice people or whatever, I'm not sure exactly whether or not Midwestern people are nicer than the average American. I don't know. Even if you don't necessarily believe in the concept of Midwest nice, you have to admit that this game is Midwest nice. It is the concept of Midwest nice. The main character, Link, comes from the middle of nowhere. What does he do? He does side quests for people around the world with no reward in mind. Does that sound like anything? That's Midwest nice. The overall wholesomeness and kindness of The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is the visual manifestation of Midwest nice. Much like how 500 Caliber Contractz was teenage angst and Fallout 3 was adulthood depression with an undercurrent of comedy, Wind Waker is the mental state of the average Midwest nice adult. When we get over the angst of living in the middle of nowhere, the world looks so colorful. Our outlook has changed. So Wind Waker is kind of like the final step in the lifespan of a Midwestern citizen. This is kind of when we emerge from our cocoon of angst and we emerge as a beautiful butterfly with an unusual appetite for deep-fried cheese curds. After this, we fully and readily die. And that's fine. That's the circle of life. This is the stage of acceptance. Despite the fact that we live in this soggy, colorless place, it's actually not that bad. It can be pleasant. Somehow we see the world in this nice, optimistic way. And that's all I have to say about this Midwestern shit. You. I think I made my point. Let's get out of here. Alright, it's time to do the outro. I'm gonna take my coat off because it's actually significantly warmer than it was when I started filming. Okay, so what was the point of me saying all this? Basically, the Midwest might be the middle of nowhere, but despite that, kindness and also creativity and inspiration can arise from here, can spring from here. I'm sure plenty of the people watching this are also from a different brand of the middle of nowhere, and I hope that in a similar vein to how the Midwest can inspire such creative feelings and whatever, I hope the same can extend to anyone from any sort of place. Keep on gaming, take care of yourself, and pick up after yourself.